What is good, defenders, and welcome to the night before a match, so you know what that means. It's time for your favorite pre-match segment from us here at Defenders of the Bank. It is time for one more sleep. This one, Open Cup semifinal edition, Tukwila style. I don't know where it is on a map either, but it's up there near Seattle. You know my voice. It's the Scarf, J.R. Liebert. And joining me live from world-famous Philomonster Studios, I give you Christian Philly Philemon.
Good evening, Los Angeles. Weren't we just here? Yes, we were. 24 hours ago, talking about something we didn't necessarily want to talk about. But tonight, we're back to talk about something we want to talk about, which is the terror that we're going to cause the Seattle Sounders in Tukwila, Washington, at Starfire Stadium in front of a capacity crowd of 4,500. And we get the opportunity once again to play on synthetic turf because Seattle is such a dry city that the rain doesn't fall and they don't get a lot of grass and a lot of greenery. I hope you know I'm only kidding. But yes, we are going to cause terror in Tukwila. And that just sounds odd within its own right.
Yeah, it's actually, Philly, the real reason that I've been told by plenty of Seattleites and Portlandites and everybody else, it's because it rains too much, that they can't keep the grass growing because it rains too much for all the water and everything else. I don't know. Look, it's the greenest flipping spot in the United States, and they can't get actual grass to grow. Vancouver, Portland, Seattle, Tukwila. I don't care where we're playing. I'm going to complain about it. By the way, did you notice that they redid the turf, or they're redoing the turf at BMO Stadium? I didn't know all the way underneath there's like a layer of sand under there. Pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
I got to see, I think we all got to see all the turf. You see it out in the gold lot before the watch party. All the turf, all the dirt, everything was just piled up in the gold lot at the start of the watch party for League's Cup. And at the end of the watch party, it was already all gone. Like trucks had already come to take it out. So that was.
I'll tell you this. I was talking to Gage. He's the groundskeeper at LAFC right after the last home game, and I was quite impressed with the way the everything like improved around the pitch shortly after the boxing match. Obviously, after the boxing match, we saw the pitch the way it was, but then the next game, things looked really good. I can't imagine that's the easiest job in the world, being a groundskeeper at a professional football stadium, especially one that has events. I know seeing the pitch in the way that we see it from time to time really stinks, but you know, when it's privately owned and funded, there's only so much money that one can make off of 17 to 20 soccer games. You got to throw all these events out there. But shout out to Gage. I know he listens to the pod. You do a fantastic job, buddy.
Yeah, and look, like Steve Trundle said, he doesn't envy. I don't envy, although I have far less to do with it than Steve Trundle does. We all don't envy the job of the grounds crew, especially after boxing, after Foo Fighters, after Iron Maiden, after all these incredible concerts that we have at BMO Stadium. It's got to be a tough job for sure. What's not tough is managing synthetic turf, which they have at Starfire Sports Complex in Tukwila. Yes, that's where we're playing, 4,500 capacity strong. So if you're going up there and you're expecting a 45,000 seat stadium, it's a little different, folks.
Yeah, it's no misprint, that's for sure. They didn't miss out a zero accidentally.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Look, it's where the Tacoma Defiance, I think, either play or used to play.
Actually, the Seattle, it's actually Reigns' practice ground. It used to be the Sounders up until the start of 2004, but then they moved off to a completely different ground. The Tacoma Defiance only played there for a couple of. I think they played there for a couple of years. They returned in 2022, but mainly it's the Reigns scenario.
Yeah, the Reigns practice facility.
And actually, you are right. The Defiance do play there. They had a 2-year stint. Then they came back in 2022. And the Seattle Seawolves of the MLR also play there, along with the WPSL team. Yeah.
By the way, Canada is announcing it's like Canadian Super League for women. Vancouver Rise were one of the first two teams, the Calgary Wild and the Vancouver Rise. So Canadian women's soccer Super League stuff is happening. Get excited. Shout out to Danny Angel, who is apparently celebrating his birthday with the 32.
Hey, happy birthday.
At Starfire. That's pretty awesome. I just like that it's called Starfire. And I'm looking forward, Philly. Get the disco tunes back because we are wearing those third kits yet again. It's going to be the first time we've worn them since we debuted them. What was that, like July 17th or something? Really looking forward to seeing our boys in the brown, the tan, it's a fun kit. And I really like the departure from the norm. It's what a third kit should be. It's, to me, finally in the vein of something as cool as the Bruce Lee kit or the Jimi Hendrix kit or the Johnny Cash kit or some of these other ones that we've seen. Totally excited to see us wearing those again. And Philly, from what we saw on social media, it looks like Kike Oliveira and Matty Bogusz have made the trip. So that's good. I just want to remind everybody, the close of the transfer window in Mexico is still like 2 or 3 weeks away. So deep breath on that.
Yeah, deep breath indeed. And by the way, congrats to Matty Bogusz. Finally, he gets the nod from the Polish national team. It's I don't want to say it's about time, but now without a doubt, it's well deserved. And I think Poland's got an exhibition or a friendly coming up within September. So we're going to keep an eye on that, on Matty Bogusz, but well-deserved getting to play for his for national side. No more youth stuff. He made the senior squad, so good on him.
Listen, their showing at the Euros was abysmal. And for me, all I thought about was if only they had, some sort of dynamic play all over the pitch playmaker who could really help out that offense a little bit. Robert Lewandowski. Lewandowski is not that guy anymore. He's getting a little older, a little longer in the tooth, as they like to say. So excited to see Matty Bogusz get called up.
I'm a schmuck, by the way. It's Nations League. So
yeah.
Here's the thing. Nations League is going to be a little while. When are we going to be missing Matty for quite some time? I mean, that first Nation Leagues match for Poland's going to be against Scotland on September 5th. That's something to keep an eye on, by the way.
Yeah, look, we don't have a ton of matches, luckily, down the stretch, September and October, but it's definitely something that we're going to have to take a look at. And, look, here's the hard part from here on out. We talked about this during Leagues Cup. We talked about it now during Open Cup. Clubs like Carson and now Columbus and certainly Miami, they can really begin to focus on setting their roster and going after the Supporter Shield, where we still have, at minimum, one more, if not 2 more matches to play after this one. And so we can't quite look too far ahead just yet. What is it? September 25th is when the Open Cup final would be. And look, something I'm really excited about is that we have the opportunity, Philly, as we beat Seattle, to help Indy 11 make the CONCACAF Champions Cup. I can't tell you how excited I am about that. Now, unfortunately, I believe, if I can get the stupid site to work, I think they're losing 1-0 right now. But either way, I would love to see Indy 11 go for the upset tonight. I think that would just be absolutely massive. Just huge.
Indianapolis has been the talk right now of Major League Soccer, possibly being a destination, which would obviously hurt the Indy 11. So what's to say that, they couldn't have that run of luck to take care of business? People are thinking and scratching their heads why a place like Indiana. Little do many of you know that Indiana actually is a hotbed for soccer. Look no further than Indiana University. We're talking 8 national titles, the second most successful program in Division I soccer men's history, only behind St. Louis. But the Billikens haven't really done anything since the 70s. It's really been all about the Hoosiers. And the scene, in particular for people that follow international football, right around that Broad Ripple area close to Butler University, they packed the house with people coming in to watch Premier League, Bundesliga, La Liga. So there is a thriving hotbed in Indianapolis. And if they do put a team in Major League Soccer there, that'd be pretty darn cool. I would have to have a conversation with Commissioner Keith Tozer of the Major Arena Soccer League to possibly look into putting an indoor team there, and I'll let the cat out of the bag. That's my retirement plan down the road, to actually own a pro indoor team, and I'll put it in Indiana, man. Although I'm not going to live there, but I would put it in Indiana.
Yeah, real quick, just to give everybody an update before we get into all the Seattle stuff. 27 minutes in, Sporting KC is up 1-0.
Johnny Scotch.
The possession right now is 83-17. Yikes.
No surprise. No surprise.
So we'll see. Look,
once said in one of his songs, "The dream is over." Well, not yet, but
now plenty of time. There's still plenty of time on any given day. 90 minutes. It's all you need. Speaking of only needing 90 minutes, we only need 90 minutes to get to another cup final. If it's against Sporting Kansas City, obviously they have everything to play for, as a CONCACAF Champions Cup would be within their grasp. Seattle Sounders, by the way, looking to become just the third club. Maccabi Los Angeles and Bethlehem Steel, the only two clubs with 5 U.S. Open Cup titles. Seattle Sounders have 4. So they've got a little bit of history to play for in this one. They've also obviously got to secure their spot in CONCACAF Champions Cup. We've already done so. So whoever we play in the U.S. Open Cup final after we get past Seattle, they automatically get their spot booked into CONCACAF Champions Cup. You imagine Sporting Kansas City and Indy 11 right now are playing for at least a chance to get to CONCACAF Champions Cup.
Yep. In the Instagram, there's been conversation about, S10X Pablon works for the airlines, and he spotted Murillo on an Alaskan Airlines flight from Seattle to LAX yesterday alone. And so our media guy does say that Murillo is not going to play in the game tomorrow due to a knee. So that's some big news right there, because I do know for a fact that LAFC went straight from Columbus to Seattle yesterday. There was no sense in flying back to LA. So in case y'all are wondering what the status is going to be with Murillo, he will not be featured in tomorrow's game in Tukwila.
Yeah, let's touch on that real quick. That means one of two things are going to happen, Philly. That means either we switch back to the 4-3-3 and start Aaron Long and Maxime Chanot on that back line, or we stick with the 3 in the back and we roll with Steady Eddie out there, who had played very well in limited minutes. It's interesting because what tends to happen then is Maxime Chanot plays that role of what Jesus Murillo does, where he tends to be more of the aerial supremacist. He also
aerial supremacist.
Lots aerial supremacy. The Red Baron from Snoopy. Either way, also Aaron Long tends to stay back a little bit more. Eddie Segura tends to stay back a little bit more. We lose a little bit in the attacking with Eddie Segura back there, but then Eddie can kind of morph in to that midfielder role, that hybrid that he played earlier in the year. It's going to be fun to see what we do going back to the 4-3-3, playing with that straight 9 that we have been able to do for quite some time. That also means 3 in the midfield. And so with Matty Bogusz, with Timothy Tillman, with Lewis O'Brien, with everybody healthy, obviously Ilie Sanchez, Edward Atuesta, we got 5 in the midfield. So I think what we're still going to do is maybe push Matty up top, or maybe it's Kiki Oliveira gets the start again. We'll see. So
yeah, speaking of 3, that's as many times as we played the Sounders already this season. And Seattle's been a team that we've dominated in these 3 games. We've outscored them 8-1 in our last 3 matches against the Sounders. So hopefully we aren't too confident in regards to this. Hopefully we did get knocked down. I don't want to say we got knocked down a pedestal. Yes, we got knocked down a pedestal, but we have owned the Sounders similarly to how the crew have owned us. And Scarf, can you believe it? This is actually going to be the 6th time that we're going to go up against the Sounders in a knockout winner take all scenario. We're 3-2-0 in that type of a situation. So here's the fingers crossed for us being 4-2-0 in that same scenario.
We've never been able to do it at Tukwila, baby. Let's make Tukwila BMO Stadium North. That's what I'm saying. All 4,500 of us. Goodness gracious. All right, Philly, shall we get in? Look, these guys all know who Seattle is. Let's get into our play.
Yep. Let's get into it. All right.
I'm picking the matchup that I want to see more than anything else. I want to see in the box the beast that is Yeimar Gomez Andrade. It also could be, Jackson Reagan back there as well. They're both massive center backs. These guys, 6'3", 6'4", big dudes going up against Olivier Giroud. I am very excited about what we saw, at least on the ground. Olivier Giroud scored on a set piece. Imagine if we actually let the guy jump. He can get up there. I can't wait to see Olivier start to dominate the box the way that we expect him to once he gets better service. And again, I know I picked on Denis Bouanga on our last episode for the terrible service, which also caused us to have to get back on several counters that happened very, very quickly. But as long as it's Matty Bogusz or even Kike Oliveira giving the service, Edward Atuesta giving the service, Timothy Tillman giving the service, I just don't think it needs to be Denis Bouanga anymore. I was very disappointed with the service that we saw. But when Olivier Giroud has the opportunity for air, it is a wonderful thing. And I think we will see that. It's going to be interesting. I could have put Jackson Reagan up there as well, but that is exactly the matchup that I'm looking forward to seeing, Philly. Those Seattle center backs against Olivier Giroud. And you know what? I could have put Kai Kamara up there as well. So it's going to be fun. Lafferty, you're terrible.
Yeah. Kick a Ball Pod puts a shout out college soccer. Started last week. Hashtag support college soccer. I'm looking forward to getting back there myself, folks. I'll be back on the call for UC Riverside's men and women soccer on ESPN Plus once the Big West kicks things off. So you'll be hearing my voice once again on ESPN Plus for soccer and then basketball and then baseball. So whether you like it or not, Philly is on the air. All right. You are going to laugh, by the way. You are going to laugh at what I have for my players to watch. First, Seattle Sounders, no question about it. It's Jordan Morris. I mean, this guy is going to have to play with a chip on his shoulder to create any kind of offense for Seattle. He is a dangerous player, and one that, as much as I dislike the Sounders, I feel in particular for Jordan Morris. He got to go play professionally in Wales over at Swansea, hurt his knee, tore his ACL rather, and didn't get the opportunity that he deserved. Comes back to Major League Soccer and thrives, but he was robbed of an opportunity to play an international ball. And I know that's got to chap him. Every time he hits the pitch, he plays with his hair on fire, and there's no doubt in my mind that he's going to do the same thing to LAFC because, quite honestly, the black and gold have absolutely owned the Seattle Sounders as of late. For LAFC, this is where you're going to get a cackle, Scarf, because I've never done this before. I'm picking the whole damn team. In particular, coming off of the heels of a very gut-wrenching game. In order for us to get through into the next round and win the U.S. Open Cup, it can't be just one of our guys. It needs to be a total team effort where everybody is mentally engaged into the game. None of this paying attention for 44 minutes crap and then letting a goal in. I am expecting a big rebound from the entire team tomorrow. That being said, if they can play the way that we know that they can play, they're going to go out there and silence the Sounders. But it's going to take a total team effort from the top to the bottom, from the keeper to the center back, to the wing, to the center forward. We need a total team effort, particularly because if you look back at last season, when we lost the CONCACAF Champions Cup final, or at that point, league to Leon, it took a toll on LAFC. Carlos Vela said it himself, I don't know, a week or two after that game when we were in a press conference with him saying the loss dramatically affected the team. And obviously you saw it within their performance. Hopefully we get a total team effort out of everybody tomorrow, including people coming off the Pine Pony. That's going to propel us to this victory. I got no person in terms of one. I got a whole team. You give up?
So let me get this straight. You need the entire
team to watch. That's plural. This is perfectly legal, what I just said.
You need the entire team to win is what you're saying. For 90 minutes, you have to have 11 guys playing together in order to win.
Yeah, total team effort. Can't rely on one or two people. Yes.
If I had a white flag, I'd be waving it right now.
No waving. I'm telling you, man. Like the psyche of the team, it's a collective. I wouldn't do this if we weren't coming off the heels of a tough loss. I get it. It sounds like a boneheaded thing to say. It's as obvious as some of the stuff that was written in Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. We know these things, but at the same time, we don't necessarily practice them on occasion. Sometimes it takes a complex mind to understand the simplicity of things. And in this case, I think this is beautiful.
Let's go to the next slide.
All right. Your keys to the game.
First of all, is to manage the turf, right? We all know how difficult it is for LAFC to play, but not just that. They've already talked about it in the chat. And yes, I am aware of this about Starfire. Starfire is more of a narrow pitch. Starfire is what NYCFC are pretty much used to playing on, a much more narrow pitch than many of the pitches in Major League Soccer. So we have to both manage the turf and manage the pitch itself. It is going to be a little different. It might mean that we can't spread as wide as we need to, and we have to work through the middle. That's something that Seattle's a little bit better at than LAFC is, especially with the likes of Joao Paulo. But that being the case, the second thing I want to make sure we do, which is pretty much exactly what Philly said in his whole, I'm picking everybody on LAFC as my players to watch.
I do what I want.
We need to go in there and play the Sounders tomorrow. What do I mean by that?
Sorry.
What do I mean by that? I mean that we can't play the Ghosts of Columbus crew and the missed opportunities. We cannot go in there, to use a poker term, on tilt. What we need to be able to do is to look forward and, if anything, take solace, but do not take lightly that new crest of Seattle, because we can take solace in the fact that we have absolutely dominated this Seattle Sounders club this season. We have played incredibly well against a club that not many others play consistently incredibly well against. But we have to make sure we are only playing the Sounders, not the Ghosts of Columbus crew and the frustration of losing our fourth chance at a cup in a row in 2 years.
Yeah, it's been rough losing in these finals, and it's even rougher is reading some of the crap that you see on social media. I don't want to talk about it, but I mean, yeah, I hear you. My key to the game, and there's a double meaning behind it. Move forward. Move forward. In the first half against Columbus, we were moving backwards. We were pushing the ball backwards. And Steve had a problem at some point. I forget which game. Might have even been the 5-1 loss against the Crew earlier in July, when we just kept playing from the back. Moving forward is obviously how you're going to win a game. But at the same time, moving forward, I also refer to as moving forward mentally. You can't continue to focus on the losses. And like you said, the ghosts of the Columbus crew. We'll get that opportunity to play them again, should it be within our destiny. But until that moment happens, we need to extinguish that demon that is Columbus. We move the ball forward rather than having to go from the back. We hit our wingers. We offer the service, like you were saying, to Giroud, something he did not get against the Crew for the first 45, 50-ish minutes until that corner kick from Adi Bogusz to open up the scoring sheet for LAFC. Move forward in terms of gameplay. Move forward in terms of the mental aspect of things. That's going to be our key to the game. You got on mute once again. This is the second day in a row where you must have
trying not to cough. You know, it's this whole thing. I'm trying not to cough. Sorry about that. All right, moving on. No, Philly, I agree. It's exactly what I said in mine, and I think you and I both agree that we can't have a hangover. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, hangovers suck the older you get, and I'm telling you that without a doubt. I haven't had a hangover in well, let's move on.
These type of LAFC hangovers, though, are the ones that I'm absolutely over. And I think we will be, Philly. As I predict, it'll be a 3-1 scoreline for LAFC. I do believe we're going to bounce back. I do believe we're going to play the way that we know how. I think the team still being together. Kike Oliveira, look, what we saw in seasons past, players like Brian Rodriguez, players like Jose Cifuentes, players like Edward Atuesta before he left for Palmeiras, we saw players longing to be out the door as there were moves that were rumored, as there were deals that were supposedly done. What we have not seen is Kike Oliveira do that. In fact, Kike almost scored a goal for us by playing exactly how he has played every minute since he has come back from the national team from Uruguay. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the impact that Kike can make because, again, I said this on our last podcast when we talked about Columbus Crew, and I'm going to say it again when we're talking about Kike Oliveira right now. Kike makes something out of nothing. The pressure that he puts on a defense, whether it's in open space or in small spaces, is what has separated LAFC time and time again this season. Yes, Matty Bogusz and Denis Bouanga have been all-worldly in MLS this season. But something about what Kike brings to the table, and now his newfound precision in being able to finish and keep the lid on the pressure pot, that is what we are hoping for over the course of 90 minutes. And I think we're going to need to see a lot of Kike Oliveira in this match. So there you go.
Yeah, he's already turned into the second best Uruguayan we've had on our club ever. It'll obviously be pretty hard to extinguish the mark that Diego Rossi left on LAFC. And it's also going to be kind of hard to forget the marks he's been leaving on as a member of the Columbus Crew. But I would agree. And Chris Lafferty goes, Kike is underappreciated. I don't know if he's underappreciated. He's coming into his own, and he's taking care of business, which is why I think the club is in a scenario where they think maybe now's the time to capitalize when he's at his all-time high. Marlon, we don't know yet if he's going to Toluca. Obviously, he's still with the team. He played, as you know, in the game against the Crew. He traveled to Seattle, or should I say to Tukwila. So he should be featured in the game. The media guide said the only player that is out, that is a regular, is Jesus David Maria. So we should be seeing him again. And as Scarf said, there's still a couple of weeks for that transfer window for Mexico. Anyways, moving right along, score prediction. I am predicting an LAFC victory, but I think it's going to be a closer game, 2-1. I think just playing on that synthetic turf, playing in front of a practice crowd, so to speak. It might have this like weird ambiance to the boys, but they're going to kick things into place. Seattle's obviously going to go out there and play hard. They're going to play aggressive. They're going to play physical. That's Seattle Sounders style of football. And you know Brian Schmetzer is eager to get one up on Steve Cherundolo, so he's going to throw everything and the kitchen sink that he can to the black and gold. It's going to be a very competitive game. I'd love for it to be a blowout, 7-0. Of course, I want every game to be a blowout. I want to go into halftime feeling relaxed rather than constantly chipping away at my nails and my cuticles. It's a nervous tick that I can't seem to get rid of, and it only seems to be enhanced by that of LAFC anytime that they play in games that are within a Final Four. Needless to say, 2-1 LAFC victory, and then we go on to take Sporting Kansas City in the U.S. Open Cup final. And this time around, we're going to win a effing trophy.
Language. Real quick, it is 2-0 as we approach halftime. Unfortunately, Sporting Kansas City scored again. So it looks like Sporting well on their way, but I still believe in Indy 11. Hopefully we can make something happen. Philly, it's going to be a lot of fun seeing how the boys respond in Tukwila to this match. I've got 3-1. Philly's got 2-1. We see several of you in the chat, 2-0. I think Schmurdy might be having, I don't know, one too many desserts. He says 7-0.
Well, sure, I mean, I said 7-0,
but you know what
I hope for.
It'll be fun either way, because I think what you and I are expecting to happen is that we get to play for another trophy on September 25th. I think, don't quote me on that just yet. But September 25th is when I think the Open Cup final is. And more importantly, the good part is when we win this match, whether it's Indy 11 or it's Sporting, BMO Stadium hosts the Open Cup final. So let's bring the cup to BMO, and let's not let it leave after we do. That's all I got, Philly.
That's all I got, too.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, he's got to find that button.
Yeah, I do. You put me on the spot. Hang on. Yeah, there we go.